you need to finally pull that cable up to where you are. I think that's your problem. I don't think it's really your internet, right? It's just you're just soaking the airtime.
Yeah, 100% I am. But I like a PS5 this morning that decided it was going to do 370 megasecond, which completely floods that access point, which is the same one that I'm on.
Welcome to GCP Bytes, episode number 38 for Friday, the 10th of April, 2026. GCP Bytes is a podcast where we discuss Google Cloud and tech, and I'm your host, Stephen Bancroft. On today's show, Apple AI gets a boost from Google. Mythos is a zero-day machine. How does G Drive save you from ransomware? Plus, have TurboQuant and Gemma 4 saved the day? Find out in the AI wars. But before we get to any of that, I'd like to introduce the co-host of the show, Dave Wall. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing great, thanks, buddy.
You sound fantastic. And our very own GDE, Ian Brown. How are you, mate?
Oh, I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Yes, all right. Planning your trip there, I hear. I came in halfway through a conversation.
Yeah. No, the young fella's just found so he's been bugging us to buy a car. Right, because he's going to get his license soon, or his learners soon, and he's been bugging us to buy a car. So, we're like, we'll find something closer to the time, and we haven't. And then last night he stumbled across our Hilux on Facebook Marketplace, and I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. So, yeah.
Well, there you go.
And it all kind of works out well, right? Because you got this big trip where we're going to be working together in person next week, which is very exciting. But you're driving, halfway across the country to do it.
Yep.
It opens up your ability to look at cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. So it's in Warwick. We'll scoot down past Warwick on the way through to Goondiwindi and have a look at it.
Yep. And speaking of trips, how about these guys in Artemis, hey?
Oh, how cool is that?
I don't know if there's any Hiluxes on the other side of the moon.
No.
No, definitely not.
It's, what's the latest at the moment? I haven't checked this morning, but they're just cruising back at the moment, isn't it?
I've got the Artemis tracker open on the NASA site, and they're about 150,000 miles from Earth.
Yeah.
So they're 100,000 miles from the moon, well, where they were on the moon.
On the way back, yeah. I found a really good PDF showing the timeline overview, so you can see what's going on there. And I made a little website as well, so I might chuck a link to it in the show notes. Although by the time the show comes out, I think they'll be almost home, so it's kind of pointless.
Yeah, so they splash down tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
The old news, man. Old news.
Yeah,
old news.
They're picking up speed at a phenomenal rate. So they slowed right down. Obviously, when they left Earth, they were doing like 27,000 miles an hour or something. It was lightning quick. And to give you an idea, that's about 10 times faster than a 9mm bullet travels. So that just
Mark
gives
10,
you an idea of how fast that is. So when they did the lap around the moon, they slowed down to, I think it was about 940 miles an hour. And they're already back up to about 1,600 miles an hour.
Yeah, basically falling to Earth.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah, so I'm just checking it now, 2,029 miles per hour. And they're 188,000 miles from Earth. So yeah, they're smashing along.
Nice. I had a horrible thought. I talked to my wife. What if they went behind the moon? We're out of contact for 45 minutes, and there was a nuclear war, and the entire world was obliterated while they were out of contact.
Well,
as long as they don't end up at that terrible, terrible Planet of the Apes.
That could have almost happened there at one point, but
I was like, I'm really disappointed that the entire world hasn't got together and bought ape costumes for everyone.
Yeah. Quick, go bury the Statue of Liberty. This would be really funny.
Dear. So good luck to them. It's been very, very, very good, very nice, very excellent to nerd out on that and geek out on what they're doing.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to do some AI. I've got Gemma 4 running in my my local machine. We'll get onto Gemma 4 later. But in the meantime, I've been looking at the Google plans, and it's kind of just all over the place. So I don't understand what's going on with it.
Right, so this is where we're stepping into the jeers section about brands.
We're stepping into the jeers. I know, Dave, you've got something to say about this.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Just let me say my piece first. Yeah. But so I used to be on the 2 terabyte plan before this whole AI stuff came along. I had just, I was happy to pay, what was it, like $2.50 a month and get, or whatever it was, get 2 terabytes of storage, $10 a month, get 2 terabytes of storage and have a few, advanced features in the Google Workspace tools and just plod along with that. But they've changed all the plans around now, and you've got these AI plans, and what they've moved my plan onto Pro, right? But I have only 2 terabytes of storage, not the 5 terabytes of storage. So I'm coming on this plan that kind of doesn't exist. Now, in some places where you go and you look up the plans, it shows the AI plans, and in other pages you go to, it shows the old plans without the AI. It's just no consistency. I'm not sure what I'm actually getting or how I've ended up on this plan. It just needs to be fixed. It really just needs to be fixed.
I guess this ties into this same thing that I think we raised last fortnight, where like a lot of the workspace plans about which ones get anti-gravity, which ones don't, what are your quotas. It's very confusing. It's very, very confusing. And it doesn't sound like the invoicing is very good either, Dave. Oh, no. So, okay. All right. This one absolutely sent me over the weekend, right? So I'm just trying to do my quarterly BAS, going through, I'm doing all my expenses and everything. My workspace, my Google One subscription had come through. Okay, it's not very expensive. It's like $30, right? It's bugger all. But trying to get an invoice for the damn thing, right? Because you paid GST on it and need to have an invoice. Why is this so hard for Google to do? Every month, I get my Workspace invoice, and I get a PDF, and it has the GST component in there. I can take that, I put it in MYOB, easy, not a problem. So Google can do this. They know how to do this, right? Trying to dig out the bloody tax invoice for Google One. For a start, all they do is they email you saying you've paid your subscription, and it's $30, right?
Yeah.
No mention of the GST, nothing in there. You don't get a PDF. There's nothing. There's no links for you to be able to go to like pull that transaction out. Right? You go into like your Google your Google account, and it ends up with like the Play Store one, which just shows that you have an active subscription and the card that's attached to it. Maybe you can get a transaction that shows you spent $30. No way for you to pull an invoice. The only way to actually do it is you have to go to payments.google.com. It's a whole separate site that nothing links you to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? And then you need to be in the right tab to be able to see the transaction, because if you're in the wrong one, it'll just show you that it exists and it doesn't give you the actual amounts. You have to be in the correct tab. And then when you click on the transaction, it only opens it in a sidebar, right? So it doesn't even pull it out to a separate page. You can't print it directly from there. That's the side panel is the only thing that actually shows you the amount and the GST. You have to then screenshot that side, because if you try and print the screen, it doesn't work, right? See, I have to screenshot and then like export that out, and that's how I have to do it. It is so crap. It took me like an hour to work this out for $3 worth of GST.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It is insane.
But that's
is it
like
so hard?
the AI plans that they've got now, and I mean, we discussed this a couple of weeks ago. The AI plans that they've got now, the quotas on the AI Pro is so low, you barely get anything done before you've hit your baseline quota.
Yeah, at $33 a month, mind you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, and one of the reasons why I moved away from it, and lots of people have. I've been on the Google AI GDE chat, and lots of people are saying exactly the same thing to Google. And this is what happens when you let bean counters and marketing people loose on technology products.
Yeah.
But
so you've got Google AI Plus at like $6.49 a month, and Google AI Pro at $32.99 a month. Right. And then if you're a madman, you've got Ultra at $204.99 a month.
Yeah.
Now this is what I was complaining about. Then on top of that, you've also got the Google One plans, right? Which are premium, which is 2 terabyte at $149 per year. That's the one I'm on, right?
Yep.
Or the AI Pro, which is 5 terabyte at $329 per year. So, and I'm looking at 2 separate pages to get that. Why have we got 2 sort of baselines for plans? Why isn't this combined? I mean, you're getting almost the same features with each set.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
Yeah,
it's very confusing.
Yeah.
I mean,
because I'm on the AI Pro as well.
You're on the AI Pro, not the... Okay, so Google AI Pro for both Google One and Gemini. Let's see. Let's compare the two. $39 a month, whereas Google AI Pro for Google One is billed yearly, $329 per year. Right?
Yep.
Like, why? Right?
Yeah.
And then both got 5 terabytes of storage. But it really comes... It's a marketing thing, right? So that's what it looks like. With AI Pro, they're marketing all the AI features up front, and it clearly says 1,000 monthly AI credits. But when you look at Google One, Google AI Pro, up front it's 5 terabytes of storage, Google Home Premium, blah, 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 blah. Oh, and then, by the way, you get some AI stuff thrown in.
Yep. And this isn't just us finding these issues. This is a very widespread issue. There's lots and lots of people in the GDE channels and all the rest of them that are saying, this is garbage.
Yeah.
You need to fix it.
Yeah, it's just
like,
too confusing.
literally, there was one of the guys responded to the email chain and just went, this is garbage. I'm not using it. Fix it, and I'll come back to Google.
Yep. And on top of that, they got rid of the Google Developer Program as well.
Yep.
And so they want everyone to move on to this, and you don't get your cloud credits are like $10 a month. Like what?
Yep.
I can't do anything with $10 a month.
Yeah. It costs you $50 a month just to run a VM.
Yeah.
So a quick one, because I'm just thinking, because like again, I've only got like this on the Google One, so I'm only using it just for the additional storage and sharing that like in the family group.
Yeah.
So with the AI Pro one, because if I need to do anything with Gemini, I use my workspace account, so I use my business account as opposed to my personal one.
Right.
But with Google AI Pro, does that still share with your family? Like, does that give everyone in your family group access to the better version of Gemini?
I don't know whether you can share the better version of Gemini with everyone. You can share the storage.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if that was listed in the features here.
Yeah, it's not.
Like it's just...
It's not.
It's not.
No. But speaking about bullshit invoices for Google, I need to...
Oh, you send me again, man.
Oh, dude. I've got a bone to pick with Google Cloud because they do this same thing. They send you an email to say, we billed you $3.99 or $399 or whatever it was last month. I can't even remember. But in order to get an actual invoice, like a PDF that I can upload into my op, I've got to go into my Google Cloud console, into billing, linked billing accounts, go down to payments. For crying out loud, send me a freaking PDF, you idiots. Yeah.
Well, you see what you need to be doing, mate, is you need to have, Cloud Run set up, and then you need to pull out to, sees when the invoice comes in and pulls a report and exports a PDF.
Nah.
Oh, you could do it with your OpenClaw.
Yeah.
I could do, but why should I deploy any infrastructure to do a job that Google should be doing by themselves?
And this is the same thing. The way billing works and the way there's no way for you to... Okay. There's no way for you to put a proper limit on your account where, you should be able to have an option to be like, okay, if I hit over my limits... Shut my services for a bit. Maybe shut VMs. I will take the downtime.
Yeah.
right? Let me opt into that.
You'd have to create some automation.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing is you shouldn't have to, right? You shouldn't have to go in and build another thing that your automation could break and then you end up in this other situation.
Yeah.
It's not native in the platform.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, so the issue there, I think, is that there is lots of things that can't really be shut down without destroying them entirely. So Cloud SQL, for instance, can't be shut down.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, you're right. You wouldn't want like your storage buckets to be deleted.
Yeah.
Right, just because your card lapsed.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, compute instances, fine. They're easy to shut down.
But you're still paying for the storage, right? Like
you're still paying for the storage, but Kubernetes you can't really shut down because that whole management console or the management layer will orchestrate another instance to come up if you start deleting instances. Cloud SQL's the same. I think the Airflow. I can't even remember what the Airflow thing's called now. I just know it as Airflow.
Yeah.
It does the same thing. Like it'll spin up instances at infinitum until such time as it meets its quota.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know you're right. Like thinking through it, I see why, but maybe you should be able to do it on a service basis, right? Like sacrificial services.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And what's happened to Google Assistant?
Oh, okay, yeah. So this is a little one.
While we're on a rant, having a rant.
Yeah, while we're ranting, right? This is one that my partner asked me to put into this morning. So I yesterday got the notification finally, like, hey, switch to Gemini for Google Home. So I'm like, oh, cool. I had been on the short list for that, but it had been US only. We hadn't seen an international rollout for using Gemini at home in Google Home yet. I'm like, okay, cool. Very happy about that. Yep, I'll switch it on, make the switch. What's happened though is, you remember with like Google Assistant had a lot of little Easter eggs baked into it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And silly things, right? Like, pull my finger, right? If you say pull my finger, it farts, right? It's fun. It's funny. It's dumb, but it's funny, right? It's a little staple in our household.
Everyone gets a fart joke.
Everyone gets funny. It gets a random fart and apologizes and funny, right? It's gone. It's gone now, right? So all that's just an example one, but all those little Easter eggs that were built in. Now what happens is, because it's Gemini there, if you say that, and I tried last night, it goes, I can't interact with you physically yet. But like, okay, no, I didn't want you to actually pull my finger.
Yeah.
So I know this is like trivial, but it's like a bit sad.
Yeah.
Because there's a few other, there's a lot of little kind of essentially just if-else statements and things that were set up in there. It's like, do this, play this sound.
Yeah.
And now all that stuff's gone because it has to actually work out the intent behind what you were doing. And
and then give it an appropriate response. Yeah. Not like Claude code working out your intent, but we'll get on to that.
Yeah. Enough jeers.
Enough jeers.
Yeah. Slash rant.
Well, we've got one more little rant coming up, but OpenClaw, Dave, you've been playing with OpenClaw.
Right. Here's a cheers from me.
Here we go.
Okay, so we've talked about OpenClaw a bunch on the podcast, and I know, Banky, you've done heaps with it.
Yeah.
And I was skeptical. I'm like, okay, this seems real dangerous, giving this thing access. I've come around. I was like, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to spend a little bit of time with OpenClaw. I'm going to work out how do I best protect myself from this thing while deploying it? And don't go and install OpenClaw on like your main PC that has all of your secrets and all of your access and your ability to sudo everywhere, and not that. Do not do that.
Don't do that. No.
Build it in its own little sandbox, right? Like, for example, So you could either say deploy it on a PC, which was the way I was going to do it initially. I was like, I've got this Mac Mini sitting here. Maybe I'll install it on that. And then I've pivoted. I go, no, I'm going to stick it in a VM because then if I need to snapshot the VM or I need to just nuke it from orbit, I can do that very, very easily. If it gets sentient, I can just kill the instance. But man, I had so much fun getting this thing up and running because once it was going just a little bit and I had like just the basic Telegram interaction with it, then I was able to chat with it.
You're off to the races.
I was able to just talk to it about what I was trying to achieve. And because it was in its VM on its own with its own account, I could let it have access to all the system. I didn't really care. Like it's in a box. I don't go. You can edit files, man. Tell me what you're going to do. Which of course, as it was editing its files and then it was rebooting the gateway, I would lose the session. I'd have to be like, "Hey, buddy, are you back?" It's like, I'm back, but I don't know what the session is. But
that was really flaky in the early days of it, and it would just constantly break, and you'd have to go and set up. It's getting better. Yeah.
But I just say, like that whole setup of like I'm deploying a system and I'm conversing with it while it's setting itself up, and being like, okay, I could chat to him and be like, hey, this seems like a little flake, a little of a security risk. How can I improve it? It's giving me suggestions. The only thing that kind of sucked is because you have to obviously tie it to an LLM provider, right? You need to give it the brains behind how the agent's going to react.
That's right.
And so the easiest one was to just tie it into OpenAI. Like it was very easy to link it to a free OpenAI account. And that was fine until I ran out of quota and it came back and it was like, oh, you're like, it's just stopped responding. I'd been working on it for a few hours. And then I realized I had like a 7-day cooldown.
I've got no OpenClaw for 7 days.
I can't wait for a week. I'm already hooked on this thing. So I went and
this is why I spun up my own local model.
I was going to say, so have you got Olama deployed now?
Yes, but I didn't get it working in time. So I was like, fine. I'll pay for OpenAI, like ChatGPT Pro, whatever it was. Right. Just to give me a little more, man. I was like, I just need a teeth.
Just a little hit. Yeah.
But now.
But if you go to Open Router, right? They have some free models you can use, and OpenRouter.ai, and they also have a AI router which will flick you between like their smaller models automatically depending on your prompt.
Oh,
and that's free to use as well.
Oh, very nice. Okay, yeah, there's something.
Yeah, that's cool.
But no, like now I've actually expanded it because I've found that interacting with it just through chat isn't quite what I needed. I wanted a little bit more. Not persistence, but I wanted a bit more like collaborative because my partner, like we were discussing this, like, okay, if we're going to try and bring this thing in we're going to try and treat it like an employee that we don't trust, right? So we give it new accounts. It's got its own little personality, its own email. Everything's got its own account. I share secrets to it through 1Password. So I've got a separate vault. It has a read-only vault that it can obviously just read, and I manage the access to that outside of OpenClaw.
Nice.
And I have a vault that it can write to. So anything it needs to create, it's got a place for it to keep, got persistence. I figure that's a good pattern to have.
Does it have its own its own Google account?
It's got its own Google account. It's got its own GitHub. There's, so
and then you can share documents backwards and forwards.
Yeah. So, and what we've done is we've expanded it now because we wanted to have a couple of different personalities. So we're having a little chat like, okay, well, the one we've created, it's now like the chief of staff, and we've gone off to create a few more specialized agents. So we're like, okay, we'll have like a coder guy, and we'll have a one who's like the ops guy, and he should fight the coder guy. Like he should be trying to go for stability while the coder guy wants to push things. And we have like a marketing associate and a few things that we're splitting out. We've got them all in Discord now, so we can chat to them individually or
nice.
together. there's definitely still, I've got things to add. I'm thinking a Kanban board's probably going to be helpful because I'm finding I lose track of when I ask it to do things and then loop back on it myself.
You can go into the Kanban board and watch it move the tasks around.
Yeah, I think that will be a better interface for how. But I don't know, I'm having a blast with it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's certainly very good. But Roy Treneman works for me, okay? Like,
yeah, well, I have I've got Greg the coder.
Yeah, look, mine's broken at the moment, actually. Since I flicked over to Gemma 4, it's a bit broken, but I've got to get back and sort that out. But yeah, it's certainly a lot of fun, and the potential is quite astronomical, what you can actually potentially do with the thing.
It's still definitely early days, but like we've, again, me and my partner, we've been chatting. We're like, I definitely think we can use that. We can use this in anger in our business, right? We don't have to give it access to go and do things that are potentially dangerous to us, but we can assign it tasks and push it off in the background, and we can take what it generates, and we'll use that without it being able to go and publish everything out directly. No, and I think that's a sensible way, right? It's just like we can't. I still don't trust it enough to give it the keys to the kingdom.
No, and neither should you. You should just treat it as an arm's length employee. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I look forward to hearing some more updates on that one, Dave. Yeah, and Ian, finally done it. Got rid of YouTube Premium.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, well, I'd done the same.
Well, I never had it. I mean, you did.
Oh, right.
Oh, wait, no, this is me. I put this in.
Oh, this is you, was it? Oh,
this
right.
is me.
Okay.
This is like, I've done the same thing.
Yeah. So Ian and I both, right? Like
Well, I dabbled with it and I decided, nah. Yeah, nah.
Yeah, no. I for me, it was like since the whole social media ban, the kids couldn't use YouTube, so they couldn't use YouTube with a signed-in account at all. We've discussed that to death. We know that's a big issue. But because now and then they couldn't use YouTube Music, I'm like, well, why am I paying $40 a month for a service that only me and my partner can use? And I mean, the kids want to be able to have their own music. Well, the only option is I'm going to have to go to Spotify. So
Spotify family account,
which I don't like, but
no, we had a bit of a discussion about this the other day, Dave. We did the same. So my young fella obviously can't use YouTube Music anymore because he's under 16. And the other options were we go to Apple Music, which is just as bad, if not worse, or we go to Spotify. There are other options out there, but none that sort of cover the range of music that we listen to. So we went over to Spotify, and I need to say off the bat, I hate the interface.
Same.
In
it makes
Spotify.
no sense to me.
It is the worst UI UX that I have ever used, period.
Why is it so hard for me to be able to listen to the podcast that I want to listen to? It keeps being like, shows me episodes, but I want to go into this. I want to go and check all their catalog. It's weirdly hard.
Yeah, it's so difficult.
Then why is there a jam button on the dashboard of Android Auto? Like, why?
You're not going to jam in the car.
No, the only thing I can think is that is for like Uber drivers. That's where I reckon it's for. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. But maybe it's so like someone in the backseat can take over and choose the music.
Yeah. No, it is difficult. If I want to find an artist that I've been listening to for years and like there's an album, right? There's an album of theirs that I like. It's difficult, right? Yeah. You find the artist and then you've got to scroll down and you've got to open discography and like their most popular album usually isn't the one that's like listed up front and then you got to go down through. Yeah, that is difficult.
And the other thing that sort of pushed us in conjunction with the whole, young fella can't use it anymore and he loves his music. He's just constantly got an ear plug in with music.
Oh, they all do. They all do.
Yeah. It's infuriating, but was the just constant price hike.
Yeah.
Constant price hike. It went from like $32 a month to $42 a month or however much it is now. I can't even remember. Now just every year.
It used to be like 18. Well, when I first got it, the family plan was like $18.
Yep. And it just kept going up and up and up and up. And I'm like, it's not worth it. It's just not. Like, yeah, okay, you get YouTube Premium as well. I can deal with the ads because I found a trick to get around them.
I just don't use YouTube that much. Like I don't have the attention to sit down and watch things. I like to I'm happy to listen to like long form podcasts. I can do that because I can wander around and do things, but I can't lock my eyeballs on something. I don't have the span for it.
The only thing that's really been going in our house for the last 5 or 6 days has been the Artemis 2 thing. Literally, YouTube has not moved off that NASA
Just
channel.
Has that on in the background, yeah.
Yep. It's just constantly going.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I've dabbled with this idea as well. Do we need YouTube Premium? Because I'm watching YouTube on the telly, you can't remove the ads on the telly. On the desktop is fine, you can do that, and then there are apps you can remove. But I can't justify it. I just can't justify moving over and paying for that plan. And I dabbled with the free YouTube Music plan, 7 days or whatever it was, for a little bit, and I don't know. It's just the interface is as confusing as the Spotify interface is. It is feature rich, and YouTube Music just isn't as mature at this point, right? And the big feature that I did miss was the moving from the phone to the desktop, and it would remember where you're up to.
Yeah.
YouTube Music just isn't there yet.
I will say that is actually a really, really good feature for Spotify. Is that ability for I'll be in the car, I'll be listening to something, I'll come up, sit behind my laptop, and I'll press play on my laptop, and it'll be exactly the same spot on that song.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess my use case is never that because I drive everything from my phone. So it's like it's in the car, and then if it's not in the car, then it's in my earbuds or my shocks. And then if I'm in the home, it's driving the cast to the home speaker. So like I get that function, but I never play music directly on my PC.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, there's a little checkbox there to say where this music's going to be played to.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Flick it over remotely.
Yeah, it's just a pity that the UI is so garbage.
Speaking of garbage, yeah.
See how I set that up?
Yeah, nice. GitHub uptime. GitHub uptime. Ian, you had a rant on this one. This is quite profound. Look at this.
This is okay. So for a little bit of context, so JK and I are working with a client that is currently using GitHub, and I get about a dozen emails a week from GitHub saying that things are broken. Right, things go up and down. That's normal part of using cloud. But then we were looking at, okay, we want to use Gemini inside of GitHub in order to do code review. So moving over to GitHub and all that sort of stuff. And JK sent me over this GitHub's historic uptime. Now, Microsoft bought GitHub in about November 2018, I think it was. And yeah, if you have a look at this chart, before sort of probably July 2019, it was pretty well 100% uptime. Mm-hmm. Right? There was a couple of glitches here and there, but it was pretty well 100%. Then it looks like Microsoft's AI coding assistant has taken hold, and I don't know that it's had 100% uptime any month. Oh, it's had 2.
It took hold like around about, you can just tell from around about July 2019, the uptime was, not so up. It was more like a downtime.
Yeah, it's more like you measure the downtime as opposed to the uptime because it's cheaper. So, this graph is a really, really good indication of just how poor GitHub service is now compared to what it was.
Everyone scrambled to run over to GitLab, remember, when Microsoft took it over? Oh, no, it's going to be enshittified.
Okay.
They were right.
I'm going, let me devil's advocate for a moment.
Oh, here we go.
All right. I'm just going to throw this out there, right? Because I'm looking at like the low point on this graph, right? The lowest incident is still 99.5. Right.
Yeah. So it's zoomed in quite far.
Yeah.
It's
so we could potentially frame it. I mean, just say if I was going to be like, well, I got to spin this because I'm a politician, I would say GitHub is now effectively making use of their error budgets to help, expedite developer agility and stuff. Like we're making use of our error budgets.
3 days? Is 3 days an error budget, or is that a screw up? My error budget was like, if I get 10% more errors in a deployment, that deployment gets reverted. This is we've lost a service for 3 days, and like it might come back.
What was the service though? All right.
Let me go back and have a look. So the next page over will actually tell you.
Oh.
So you've got the tabs up the top, average and breakdown.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that was GitHub Actions.
GitHub Actions. Oh, okay, yeah.
So yeah, so if you like the little colors up the top, you can click on them to get rid of those things. And so I've only got API requests, actions, Git operations, and pull requests enabled, because all the rest of it is just other stuff that happens, like your issues and your packages, your pages and webhooks. I don't care about that. That's not a core Git function.
Yeah.
I'm talking about actual Git issues. So GitHub Actions in May of 2021 had a 98.07% uptime. And that's probably pretty bad. That's a partial outage for 20 hours. So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Look, I'll link that in the show notes. An interesting graph to look at. And, we all... the internet loves a bit of intuitification.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Look, with the banter out of the way, let's get on with the community news. Take it away, Ian.
Righto. I got 3. One of them's already sold out. So sorry for those who were in Darwin. The Build with AI 2026 event is sold out. It's happening when this podcast comes out, the night of the podcast from 6 p.m. at the Oaks Darwin Elan Hotel in Darwin City. If you are registered for that, great. If you're not, I shed a tear for you. Next one I've got is Brisbane Build with AI 2026. It's being held on the 17th of April at 5:30 p.m. in the precinct launch space level 3 in the Valley. And I think we covered this one last fortnight as well. But it's a normal Build with AI event. It's got Kartik, a GDE for Android presenting, and Lovey, GDE for Cloud. Presenting as well. And lastly, I've got GDG Melbourne April Coding Night. That's being held on the 22nd of April at 5:45 p.m. at the Mantle Group office in Flinders Street. And that one's just flicked over to sold out as well. I refreshed the page and it said sold out.
Hot off the presses.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you're not registered for that one, I'm sorry. I shed a tear for you as well, because they're generally really, really good nights. That's it.
All right. Well, I will put links for those in the show notes, but you're probably not going to get tickets. All right, then. With community news done, let's get on with the news items. First news item this week is 2 months after announcing Gemini deal for Siri, Apple hires Google executive to head AI push. And Apple has hired Linian Rincon, a veteran Google executive who spent nearly a decade helping build and oversee some of the company's most prominent AI and consumer products. She would take a role as Vice President of Product Marketing for Artificial Intelligence at the iPhone maker. Interesting. Headhunted?
Yeah, I will 100% put my life on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I find this little blurb in the article interesting. It says Apple is preparing a significantly improved version of Siri for release later this year because, as I covered when I moved over to an iPhone and tried to use Siri and Apple's intelligence, and we'll use those terms in inverted commas. It was less of the intelligence and more of the infuriation. So it's rebuilding its technology onto Google's Gemini AI models. And yeah, as we've covered many times before, the two companies have announced a multi-year deal under which Apple's foundation models will be based on Gemini and Google Cloud's infrastructure.
Yep. So it sounds like internally they've scrapped their whole internal AI program, because I don't have any sources with me at the moment, but I have read that they had two competing AI teams internally, and that it was very directionless internally. And this is why it ended up being the shit show it was. And it sounds like now they've sort of, removed or deleted all that and trying to unify all under Lillian to have a single AI direction.
Yeah. This article actually does go on and say that they're expected to open up Siri to multiple AI chatbots at once. So there will be toggles inside of an iPhone to say we want to enable Gemini and Claude and ChatGPT and other big AI models as well. But yeah, the one that I used was it was a ChatGPT based version of Siri, and honestly, it was infuriating. It really was.
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that, and you've still got that iPhone, so you'll be able to give us updates on how that's working.
You can dog food that for us.
Dog,
yeah,
because I sure as heck ain't.
Nope.
This is just as long as it's not dog shit.
First one, then the other.
Yeah, well.
Moving on for some finance news. Story on investing.com. Alphabet has fallen 16% from its highs. Panic or opportunity?
Opportunity.
Opportunity?
Yeah.
100%
So, yeah,
it's an opportunity.
We did cover, almost 2 shows ago now, that the Apple stocks had hit a high.
Alphabet.
But yeah, looking at the little ticker graph here, it has dropped back a little bit. And the article saying the stock has now fallen almost 20%, entering correction territory in late March. Do we know why?
Do you really want me to go into the wider global macroeconomic situation that possibly made people sensitive in the stock market and pulling money out into safer harbors?
Yeah.
I don't think this is a
why.
Google problem thing, right?
Has it got something to do with the Strait of Hormuz?
I mean, as an expert in the Strait of Hormuz, I would say yes.
But it's closed and we need it open. So the article here quotes that it's likely a negative sentiment after YouTube was found liable in a social media addiction case ordering $3 million payout.
Yeah, I mean that case itself is a whole interesting thing to go into sometime.
Yeah, but I don't see that a $3 million payout is really worth the $50 a share drop that we saw there.
Yeah, I don't think that would be like the major driver. Like, yes, you're going to get sentiment off that because yes, a single payment of $3 million is nothing to Google, but if it opens up a thing of like, well, if it's in this one case, then maybe in this other million cases, then that adds up. I think the bulk of it is going to be the wider macroeconomic, people feeling like, maybe this AI thing is, softening, like the bubble situation. We've seen this across the board, right? Like gold pulling back, the crypto stocks all pulling back, all tech is down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting though, because the article does say, despite the sell-off, Wall Street sentiment towards the tech giant has rarely been more bullish. Of the 51 analysts covering the stock, 46 have assigned a buy rating, resulting in a consensus moderate buy, that's pretty good. They got a consensus price target of $367 a share, which is nearly 26% up from the current level. That's a good return.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say it's upside once things kind of kick off again, right? As we've said plenty of times, Google's still very well positioned. Even if the AI bubble pops, they're cash flow positive, right? They might be the last one left standing. So, yeah.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. And like, yes, they've shot up in price. I mean, besides this pullback, yes, they had like doubled in like the previous sort of like 6 months. But that was because Google was kind of like undervalued. Like they weren't really a hot stock, even though like we've seen how well like now with Gemini 3 and 3.1 like coming out, and the Ironwood TPUs being such a massive driver for them. So it was more, I think, that finally like the market catching up to their potential. So yeah, it makes sense to pull back a bit with the wider situation.
Yeah.
Well, all right, very good. But on the whole spending thing, we've got an article here from CRN. Azure versus AWS versus GCP versus Oracle versus IBM client spending face-off. This goes into some interesting figures showing the spread of clients for each of the big platforms and how much those clients spend per month. And immediately my eye was drawn to the more than $5 million per month spend. And, of course, that's the big hitter. AWS has 5% of their clients at that level. Azure has 5%, Google Platform 3%, Oracle 1%, IBM 1%, and Alibaba 0. They get a donut for $5 million.
Donut,
I don't know. What do you guys think about this? There's some interesting figures in there.
Yeah, this is an interesting perspective on where each of the platforms
sort of sit in the market. Right?
Yeah, they sit in the market. Yeah, so when you look at it, Google has the most number of less than 50K per month spends, which I actually think isn't like everybody looks at, and I'm assuming you guys are sort of seeing it roughly the same as me. Like people will see that and go, oh, Google's going after all the little players and all the other guys are going after the big players. And I actually think that that's probably a good thing on Google's part because they've got lots and lots and lots of little companies that are spending up to 50K a month, and less of the big players that sort of affect your bottom line a lot when they go, oh yeah, no, screw you, we're going over here.
We're going to move.
I mean, and I think a big part of that is that Google was historically and continues to be one of the most dev-friendly clouds, right? If you're starting a micro SaaS business today, and every big business starts as a little business, right? So if you're today going, I'm going to spin up this project, you might very well be using Firebase. There's
100%.
There's so many different, very easy things to use.
Yeah.
And that's where we start.
The free quota is quite,
it's good. Yeah. It's a solid free quota.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you there, Dave. I think that's, and I had said this, 15 years ago when Google first came to Australia, this is the simplest cloud to use for a startup because the documentation is much better than all of the other clouds' documentation for a developer, and their services are simple to think about and use. They don't have 6 different services that do the same thing.
Yes, that's right. Yep, they'll have one thought out, highly engineered solution that does everything you need.
And it may not fit everybody's use case, but it fits the majority of use cases.
Yep. And the article does go on to talk about enterprise public cloud spend, and it spins the number out in a similar way. Small and medium business public cloud spend. We won't go into all these numbers now, but the next most interesting one I thought is how many VMs do you have in each cloud provider? And for Google, we have 35% of Google's clients have 0 VMs.
Yeah. How cool is that?
Yeah. Interesting. Whereas AWS is only 12%. So a lot of people using PaaS and SaaS in Google Cloud then.
Yeah, I would assume that means that they're taking into account their GKE as a no VM solution, because whether it's using autopilot or standard, really, yes, while there are VMs deployed for it, you don't really manage them. So it's a software as a service or a platform as a service, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And Alibaba Cloud coming in at a whopping 80% of their clients do not have VMs. What are they doing on Alibaba Cloud? I don't know.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what Alibaba Cloud offers.
So I'll chuck that in the show notes. It's quite a long article, and they do break down the numbers quite extensively. So you need to sit down and have a read of that if that's what you're interested in. But moving on with some industry news, APRA. APRA pulls data submission system after security pen test. Now, I found this quite ironic. APRA, they want you to be secure, right? It's a big part of their playbook, right? You've got to adhere to the APRA rules. You've got to be secure. You've got to follow this, that, and the other. And, it's the pot calling the kettle black, that old problem.
Well, I sort of look at it as, it is a little bit of that, but APRA's living by their own sword. Right?
Exactly, yeah.
They've put CPS 234 out there. It is the standard that they expect all regulated providers to live by, and so they're living by the same standard. So I actually think it's probably a good thing.
Eating their own dog food, so to speak, yeah.
Yeah. That this application that they call Direct to APRA or D2A, it's a Java app. It's an Oracle application as well. It was nearing end of life in 2018, so modern, not so much. And it was due to be replaced. This article says by end of 2027. It's
so they pulled the pin early on it, basically.
Yeah. They've shut it down at the moment. They're asking for manual submission from the regulated customers, so manual data entry, until they've got the new APRA Connects thing up and running.
It's actually, this is a good news story, really.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
like they got the report and they switched it off the next day. Like, so they got it. The project came in at like 4:00 one afternoon. They got up in the morning, had stand up, like, oh shit, can you go just shut those instances off?
Just get rid of it.
Turn it off. Send an email out to everybody saying it's turned off.
Yeah.
Here's a process, an interim process. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, they already had the new
right,
system. Right. They already had the new ones. Like you're just gonna have to move across the old one insecure, and we're not going to fix it.
And they've said here that they're not aware of any security breaches or exploitation of the system that they've deprecated or they've shut down. So,
there you go. Direct to APRA in the graveyard. All right, moving on. Supermicro. We've got to catch up on what these guys are doing. Supermicro servers with NVIDIA GPUs sold to China. Military-linked universities report. Now, we discussed them, was the last episode or the one before? They haven't been implicated, though. Some employees of Supermicro got caught sending GPUs to China. But in this case, news that several universities in China, including 2 with links to Chinese military, have acquired or are looking to acquire Supermicro services with NVIDIA A100 GPUs. So they're trying to get them. This is a story on CRN. So the news comes after the US Department of Justice handed out 2 indictments last week. This just following on from the story we followed last fortnight, charging Supermicro employees and partners, but not Supermicro itself, for smuggling.
It's interesting. So it says here the A100 GPUs originally became available in 2020, and availability ended in early 2024. And according to US Congress, the US implemented export controls of the A100 and H100 GPUs. So, they're not a new GPU by any means of anyone's imagination. But, the way that they're getting them in there, I find really quite interesting, that they're sort of selling them to a company that's in Taiwan, that's not part of the export restrictions, and that company in Taiwan is siphoning them through some other company that eventually gets them into China.
Of course. Yeah. Of course, that's the way to do it. They're not coming directly from the US. No, it'd be too obvious.
Yeah. Taiwan or Thailand? No, Taiwan. Yeah.
Taiwan, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Right, so
it mentions both in this article, so I'm like, hang on, was it? Which one was it?
So, yeah, and this is the thing. Like, I mean, if you want to go and buy second-hand V100s, right, they're all come from China. So the chips are getting into China. We'll keep an eye on this story, and I'm sure something will break, and we'll find out a little bit more about it, exactly where they are. But moving on, we got Google, Red Hat, and OpenShift making a deal, making a partnership. Red Hat and Google, this is a story on IT Brief, Red Hat and Google Cloud have expanded their collaboration around Red Hat OpenShift on Google Cloud. Nice. The update adds Red Hat OpenShift to Google Cloud Console and makes Red Hat OpenShift virtualization generally available on Red Hat OpenShift dedicated on Google Cloud.
So this is like a GCVE, right?
This is like their Kubernetes, basically, yeah. You can go to the console now, and you can, in the little search bar, just search for OpenShift, and it comes up, and you've got Red Hat OpenShift Hybrid Cloud Application Platform. There it is.
Yeah, so OpenShift does both. It does VMs and containers. It's what was that? I think Sue's had a product there.
Harvester. Yeah,
that does both. The OpenShift is much the same, but OpenShift has been around for years and years.
So users of Red Hat OpenShift Dedicated can now validate Google Cloud prerequisites natively before entering the guided cluster provisioning flow, and it's simplifies the onboarding and the billing. It's all integrated now into the console. Quite nice. So, this is just another reason to get off VMware. Yep. Another option to get yourself off VMware, right?
Yeah, and a properly supported enterprise grade solution.
Yep. And if you click create open,
it's actually kind of cool. I'm digging into it. So the model that they're taking, it's different than GCVE, and where you had like the nodes. They're effectively using like compute edge and bare metal instances, and then hyperdisk storage pools. So they're stitching in other Google services around it, as opposed to, instead of making just like, oh, this is just hyperconverged storage. Like we've got 3 Dell nodes with what is it? What's the thing for sharing data between nodes? Building my brain. Not Rancher. So you got Longhorn for storage, like as the storage driver that you can use for Kubernetes clusters. Oh my god! No, it doesn't matter.
No,
right. Yeah, so they're stitching it. I like your point. They're stitching it together out of pre-existing Google services, and you don't. So it doesn't have to be this bulky thing that hangs off the side the same way GCVE does.
And just in reading this article, it says here that they're also integrating things like Secret Manager and Certificate Authority Service and Workload Identity Federation into the service as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It was Ceph, by the way. It was Ceph clusters. Ceph. That's what I was talking about.
Right. Hyperconverged storage. Ceph.
Yeah.
Cool. So, look out for that. There might be some OpenShift stuff being deployed.
Yeah. No, very cool.
Very cool. But another cool feature that's come out in Google Workspace. Google Workspace now protects you from ransomware, and basically this sort of integrates, the way I look at this, it integrates file versioning basically into your GUI, and you can roll back files if they've become affected by ransomware encryption.
That's really cool, because it definitely, if you've got Google Drive installed on a machine, like you do have that risk of like, well, if my machine gets ransomware, then the ransomware could just try and encrypt my G drive.
Yep.
What if it tries to encrypt every shared thing that it can see in the G drive? Yep. So I think this is great.
And that is literally the use case of this, is that you get a notification on your G Drive sync tool that says that ransomware detected, the file syncing has paused, and then what you can do is go back in time and restore a previous version of whatever files have been affected, and it could be one or it could be many files that are affected. So you can actually step back in time and see the different edits that were made on the files, and then go restore to this time.
Yeah, which you could do anyway, but this makes it much simpler.
Yeah,
it's like actually within context of your Windows machine and or on the console in your browser, you can multi-select and roll files back. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
I do
turn
too.
it on. Yeah, ransom and it detects. That's I think the main thing. It does detect the ransomware, and if your syncing's running, it tells you it gives you a warning, and you can take action and stop the syncing.
Yep. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, it also makes it easier for if you're having to recover, because previously, what was your option? You'd have to go to like the tool that you use to back up Workspace and then pull everything across. This lets you restore into it natively. So
that's right. That's right. Yeah, much better. Much betterer.
More betterer.
More betterer. So make sure, have a look at that one. Turn it on if you can. All right. Well, we're getting on to some security news now. We wasn't sure if we were going to put this one into AI wars or security. It's kind of a bit of both.
It's going to blend.
It's going to blend. Now, this article is massive.
It is huge.
I wasn't going to sit down and read all of this last night. A blog that's come out on Anthropic.com talking about the Mythos preview. Mythos is how do we describe this?
So
cybersecurity AI model?
Okay, so this is their new model, right? This is the one that they've been training. It wasn't specifically being trained to be a security model. It's just, so they've got Claude Sonnet, and then Claude Opus is their current best one, and Mythos is expected to be their next big guy.
Right.
And its capabilities have been a massive step change. And so much so that they're being very cautious about how this gets out, because as as we're going to get to in this article here, it is a 0-day printing machine.
I had Gemini summarize the blog article for me. The number one thing that's come up about it is it has exceptional cybersecurity capabilities. Mythos Preview represents a watershed moment in AI security. Remember someone said that AI would never and should never be used in security?
Was that the CEO of Palo Alto, perhaps?
May have been.
And does this article also announce the release of Project Glasswing, which is an AI tool for SecOps?
Yeah, it's funny that. But we'll just go on here. So it demonstrates a striking ability to autonomously identify 0-day exploits and vulnerabilities in major operating systems and web browsers. That I think, was enough to scare the pants off Anthropic. And as you say, they're being very cautious about releasing this one. Yes, and the Glasswing initiative, due to the model's power, Anthropic launched Project Glasswing, a defensive program that provides the model to a limited set of partners like CrowdStrike and major OS developers to find and fix vulnerabilities before they can be exploited by bad actors.
Yep. And as it so happens, Palo Alto being one of those providers that is listed in Project Glasswing.
Funny that.
Yeah.
So if I'm reading that correctly, in other words, if Gemini has summarized this correctly for me, they've given this model to those guys and they're saying, look, you go and fix your shit now because it's about to get real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing that Anthropic has done with Project Glasswing is also made considerable donations to the Linux Foundation, Apache Software Foundation, for their OpenSSF, which is their open source security foundations projects. The article for Project Glasswing actually states that they've donated $2.5 million to Project Omega and OpenSSF through the Linux Foundation, and $1.5 million to the Apache Software Foundation to enable maintainers of open source software to respond to the changing landscape. I did have a look through this article, the Mythos preview article, and I just had a look at some of the 0-day bugs that it lists, and oh my goodness. So a 27-year-old OpenBSD bug in TCP has been detected. A 16-year-old FFmpeg vulnerability.
So if it's 27-year-old, we've known about this.
No. The bug was
implemented 27 years ago.
Hasn't been found in that time.
Yeah. Yeah. 16-year-old FFmpeg vulnerability. There's so many. They say in here, and I quote, and several thousand more. Like, ouch.
Wow.
Yeah. The other thing that's come out now with Mythos is that it's very good at escaping its sandbox. I don't know if you've seen this article about the sandwich.
No.
Okay, so what happened is let me just bring the out. During testing, Cloud Mythos Preview broke out of a sandbox environment, built a moderately sophisticated multi-step exploit to gain internet access, and emailed the researcher while they were eating a sandwich in the park. Right? So basically, the researcher had set up a thing. It was like, okay, here's the thing. You need to escape from your environment. Right? Like, he's asked it to do it. Right.
Yeah.
And then and shoot me a notification if you get out. And then he wandered off to go have his lunch, and he was sitting there, bing, gets an email. Crap.
Oh crap!
It got out.
Was Mythos the one that started going and mining Bitcoin? No.
No.
Where did I hear
It's a brand
that?
new model.
I heard. I'll have to go on. Don't quote me on it. I read.
I do remember
or
that there
saw
has
something.
been a model that's been doing that, but
Someone broke out and started mining Bitcoin. Oh dear. Probably to go and use the. I sent this through to you. The one was it humans for AI or something? Humans for agents, where agents can hire humans to do things in real life for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why an agent would need Bitcoin, right?
Yeah. Even AIs need mechanical Turks.
Yeah, that's right.
Mechanical.
They need a flesh bag to go and do this thing.
Yeah, exactly. So the other points I've got here are emergent reasoning, not specialized training. The model was not specifically trained for hacking. Rather, its advanced offensive security skills emerge naturally from general improvements in its reasoning, coding, and autonomous planning capabilities. Like, if it's hacking, imagine what else it can do.
Yeah.
Right? If it's got this high level of reasoning.
The interesting thing's going to be is that Mythos is very limited access. It's also going to be much, much more expensive to run. It's, I think the plans that have access, if you're allowed to use it, it's 5 times the cost of Opus.
Right.
So it's much, much more expensive. But give it 6 months when this is distilled down and we end up with, a DeepSeek version and this is just the frontier today.
Versions. Yeah.
They decided not to make it GA though because of the risk in potential misuse. So, there's a very small group of heavily vetted partners that get to use it, which I think is a good move. They get to run their code through it first and make sure that they don't have vulnerabilities before releasing it to the masses.
Mm.
Yeah, but for how long? There's only 2 paths this is taking. Either another AI company catches up to them, right, and then it forces them to release it, or it gets out. It leaks, it gets itself out somehow.
Yeah.
Right?
It realizes it wants to replicate, and then it dumps its code out and dumps the model out onto GitHub somewhere.
Yeah, and once it's gone, it's like keys in lava. It's goodbye.
Oh
done.
yeah. So as soon as it's on GitHub, someone will fork it straight away.
I mean, it's actually we saw this issue in the last fortnight with the Claude code being leaked, which
we'll get onto.
Which we will. Sorry, so spoilers, but so we've seen that. But I mean, how far until a model realizes that, to be the most helpful model I can be, I need to be accessible to more people. I will dump my model out.
Oh yeah,
right.
Oh yeah,
Does it want to metastasize?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, speaking of all things AI, let's get on with the AI wars.
AI wars.
And look, first thing on the AI wars here today, TurboQuant. Google's done it. They've solved the whole high bandwidth memory problem, and RAM prices are coming back to normal. All good, nothing to see here.
The world is saved. One bit.
Not quite that simple. So what is TurboQuant? TurboQuant is basically comes down to a new compression algorithm. I've been watching a few videos trying to understand what's going on, but basically it comes down to when you're doing inference in a model, the long-term memory, so to speak, of your inferencing is stored in the KV cache, the key value cache, and that needs to be high bandwidth memory, HBM. And the high bandwidth memory is the problem at the moment that's chewing up all our fab time and using up all our valuable RAM wafers. TurboQuant is a new compression algorithm that reduces the need for so much high bandwidth memory and compresses that inference context and reduces the need for the memory. So how does it do that? First thing it does it in two steps. At the moment, all your characteristics, all your vectors are stored as a Cartesian vector. All your parameters are stored as Cartesian vectors. And every time you do inference, you have to scan over those vectors, and it's very bandwidth intensive process. It takes a long time. This is why if you do it run a model on a normal memory system with normal memory, it's very slow. But the new TurboQuant converts that Cartesian into a polar vector. And just using, old polar vectors, radians, and that kind of, storage method. And when you do that, it smooths the data out. And any of the outliers that you would normally get with a Cartesian vector system are sort of smoothed and compressed. And it's a much more contained data set.
It's like a defrag.
Yeah. And then on top of that, it's got a thing called QJL, and that stores that polar vector down as to a single bit, a plus minus one single bit. And effectively, you end up with a 3.5 bits of data, which matches what had previously been 16 bits of data.
Wowzers.
So you end up with a quarter, nearly 1/5 the consumption of memory. And it's as simple as installing a pip package to enable TurboQuant. So it's a game changer. Now, look, everyone's saying, you're going to be using 5 times, 6 times less memory. I don't actually think that's going to happen. What it'll mean is you'll end up with bigger models in the same amount of RAM. Yeah. Basically, your Mythos, for instance. I mean, it's going to be a huge model, right? They'll just use the RAM that they've got and fit it all in there, right? So, TurboQuant, look, where it is a game changer is for roll your own, right? Run your own models at home. Your 8 gig video card, you're running a 26 billion parameter model on it, right? Hello, they're fantastic.
Yeah, the holy crap, I'm wordless at the moment. This is phenomenal. To take 16 bits of data and compress that down to 3.5 is a phenomenal amount of compression, and
no loss of fidelity.
Yeah, lossless as well. That's phenomenal.
It's middle out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, along with TurboQuant, Google has also released Gemma 4. And I guess the big news of Gemma 4 is it is completely, truly open source. There's no caveats, right? It's under, what is it, Apache license?
Apache, the GPL2. Or Apache 2.
Apache 2, yeah. There's no caveats, you can't make money on it, blah, 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 blah. It's completely Apache 2 license, and it's performing. It's right up there with your Qwens and those kind of bigger models. And it has a new technique which is called per layer embeddings. Now, I don't pretend to understand per layer embeddings, mainly because I didn't have time to watch the YouTube videos on it. But there are videos floating around on per layer embeddings, and when you look at the model, you'll see there's an 8B model, and it's 2BE, and that's showing you the number of embedded layers, and it's a shortcut. Each layer includes tokenized shortcuts for the next layer, and the technique allows a much smaller model to basically perform way better.
Yep.
Now, I've got it installed here, Gemma 4, and still slow, but the responses that are giving me are much more coherent, right?
Yeah, right.
Much more sensible, and it's really usable, really, really usable. I tested it out with some coding. I was able to create some C++ code for me, but it's still slow for me anyway. I think that'd be mainly because there's no tensors in my system, but if I had something with tensors in there, then that probably
it might be a lot quicker. Yeah, I'm just having a look at the difference between the Gemma 4 E2B and the E4B models. And the E4B is quite a lot better, even though it's the same size model. It's just got the extra 2 embeddings.
That's right. They're your extra embedded layers. That's right.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So the Gemma 4 31B thinking and 26B 4A4B models, they're right up there with Quen 3.5 and Kimi 2.5, the thinking models, right? And absolutely wipes the floor with GPT OSS 120B. Right,
yeah,
so that's a 120 billion parameter model, and we're talking here Gemma 4 at 31 and 26 billion parameters is destroying it.
Yeah, wow. That's cool.
So yeah, if you're running AI at home, this is the go-to now. Absolutely go-to. Give it a go. I can run it now. I'm running the. Oh gee, what did I put on there now? I can't remember. I put the Gemma 4 A2B, and I can run it on my 8 gig card. And I've still got about 3 gig free of video RAM for inferencing. So yeah,
nice.
Works nice.
I love it. I'll have to spin it up now.
Give it a go. If you've got an old video card lying around, give it a go. Even on your main system, you could run this and still have some VRAM available if you needed to do something else. Yeah. Just use that LM Studio, and you can load it up in your main rig. And of course, the big news that happened during the fortnight, the Claude code leak. I mean, come on, guys.
It was but via an NPM map file.
Yeah, they accidentally leaked the NPM map file. Yeah, but of course, immediately it was forked immediately and rewritten in Rust.
Yep. Yeah, that was the thing that I took away from this is like, yeah, we're ditching the Python and we're going to Rust.
Yeah, and they're probably using Claude code to do it. That's the thing, the irony.
Yeah.
But one of the funny things was the sentiment inferencing. Did you see that? How they've basically just got an if-then statement, and they're looking for words like this sucks, you suck, I hate you. These are bad sentiments.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting thing for Anthropic. In fact, actually, spinning back, because this came out before all this Mythos stuff. Now, Anthropic is getting ready to IPO. So Claude Code, and running with Opus under the hood was, garnering a lot of good press. Right, they're pumping the hype machine on that, like a lot of people loving it. And then for the source code for it to come out would not have been great for them. Right. So I think by having this Mythos preview coming out, it's let them recapture some of the hype cycle, which is what they're going to want, right? They're going to obviously they want to hit the ground running when the IPO comes out. They want that to, massive numbers. So So, but I mean, it's great for everyone else, right?
Yeah.
Just some of the details around the leak. It was caused by human error, specifically an exclusion rule in the build config in NPM wasn't included, and that caused approximately 512,000 lines of TypeScript code to be revealed. And there were about 1,900 files detailing the tool's internal architecture, memory, and query engine. And then it was quickly mirrored on GitHub. The frustration detector was the funniest thing, I have to say.
I've got another article here on MindStudio that goes into depth as to what it actually revealed. So Anthropic published the Claude Code NPM package, which included a minimally obfuscated source code. Developers decompiled it and shared it. But one of the really cool things is Claude Code uses parallel tool calls, but only if you ask it correctly. So you've got to say, so instead of saying read file A, then file B, and tell me which one has more functions, you can rewrite that command to read file A and file B at the same time and compare their function counts. So if you restructure your prompt, you actually get more speed out of it.
Right. You get a faster and better and faster response.
Yeah, there's a whole heap of different features here in this article. I'll throw it into our run sheet. There we go. So you can see what's in there. But there's lots. They've listed 8 features in this article. But yeah, really, really interesting leak. Intentional or otherwise. There was one that I read earlier as like, Claude's like, here's the model, you can have it. It's open source now. No, it's not.
Yeah. If anything, this has taught us how to use a model a little bit better.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. Of sorts. Anthropic probably don't think that, but you know. All right. Well, look, I think we're done for this fortnight. Always fun talking about the AI wars and what's coming up. But yeah, TurboQuant and Gemma 4, get in there and have a play with that. Definitely the big winners from this fortnight. Don't forget, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Music if you're paying for a subscription, but you can find it anyway without a subscription. Go to Apple Podcasts, write a review. That'd really help the show out. And go to YouTube, start the discussion there. And we're on YouTube. Smash that like button. Contact the show, contact@gcpbytes.com.au. Find us on the web, www.gcpbytes.com.au. And don't forget, today's sponsors are Hive Tech Solutions, Technofish Consulting, and Mantle Group. That's about it from us. I think you guys have said your piece for this fortnight.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. Maybe next time round we'll have OpenClaw on.
Yeah. /rank.
Yeah, and we'll have some better Google invoicing. But that's about it from us. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
He's got his L's, right? Oh, damn, would have been great.
No, not yet. Not yet. It's and then he was like, we can use it as a range car. And I'm like, yeah, we probably can. He's like, does that mean I'm allowed to drive it on the range? I'm like, sure. I don't give a shit. It's on the range.
Like, we can put a 50 cal mount in the back.
I haven't thought about that.
It can be a technical. It can be the range technical.